random. Spoilers, and I did not change the title on this. All right, boomers. Okay, before I begin anything, first of all, idiot. Let me get over and where is it? Live events. Change the title of this to edit. It's not the God Squad. It is Star Wars plot leak. Exclamation, question, exclamation. Spoilers. Warning. Spoilers. Question mark. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Luke. Leia. Rey. Palpatine. Lots of spoilers. Save changes. Alright, so my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. If you are here, just keep in mind, this is going to be full of possible spoilers. This sounds like it is a legitimate plot leak from all signs and possible reports. So please keep that in mind. Please, can you close the door? Just please do keep that in mind. If you do not want to hear possible leaks and spoilers, then go away. Go away! Because that's what we're doing. So, how do I get back to my channel? Oh, I know what I'm doing. Sorry. I'm being a bit of an idiot right now.
Did CK leave?
He went to the store, Mommy, to get feed. Alright, live control room. 9 people watching. Good. I don't necessarily need a gigantic audience for this. But if you want to ask questions as we delve into this. As you guys know, I am not a huge Star Wars critic. I'm not the greatest critic of Star Wars on earth. Yeah. Jeremy had it on his channel. And Jeremy is quite the critic. And I enjoyed his criticism. And I watched Clownfish TV's reportage on it as well. But I'm going to try to take it on a slightly different tact. That of someone who's just not as much of a critic. Not as much of a critic. I want to like it. So let's find out. Star Wars, really? Yeah, P-Money, Star Wars, really? Hey, you got a notification. Wow. No, it's not God Squad. It is Star Wars spoilers this week in random, so bear with me. This is the wrong page. This is coming straight out of Reddit. Reddit. So again, last chance for spoiler warning. Spoiler warnings. So away we go. And hello, Peter Sharon, Mr. Hellstrom, P Money, Lou, Jalapeno, Withheld, Indy, Dave, Comics, Michael Pernesti. But spoilers. Yes, of course he was. He's always about the Bone Star, this one. All right. From Jedi Paxis on Reddit. And this is quite long, so do bear with me. I've been working on this post for a while now, and was actually going to submit it. Skip past that part. Spoilers! While this is a spoiler-friendly subreddit, I'm going to flag this as a spoiler post and warn anyone, etc., etc., etc. As stated in a previous leak, please tell me Thanos snaps all of them away. He does not. Spoiler. Thanos does not snap them away. It's been reiterated to me that we will indeed be getting a young Luke and Leia flashback in The Rise of Skywalker. So young as in just post Jedi, I would assume. And yeah, Jeremy's right. They're gonna play it up as Leia's the tougher one, the more powerful one. I'm sure. But let's hope they don't. And that she realizes that, even though she's leaving because she's having a child, that she just can't bring as much to the table as her older, or her twin, and much more powerful brother, Luke. One in particular appears to be the opening of the movie. No less, we begin the action by seeing one of, if not the final training session between Luke and Leia. Leia is giving up her Jedi training due to the fact that she's pregnant with a son. Now, in the books, if I remember correctly, Leia just simply wasn't all that powerful in the Force. Right? Somebody, if you're a Star Wars fan and you remember the books, tell me if I'm wrong. It has been decades since I read those books. But they're not canon anyways, are they? Live, it's the God Squad. Well, refresh it. And you know what? Hit that like and share. Share it out and let people know that I messed up. Leia is giving up on her Jedi training due to the fact she's pregnant with a son. My source on this mentioned a fight, so I believe that we may be getting a Leia and Luke in the lightsaber duel toward the beginning of the film. And, yeah, it'll be weird. I think, was it Jeremy or Clownfish that mentioned that, flashbacks aren't really a Star Wars thing. Right? Unless they're like Force visions. But hey, you know what? They slipped a flashback in a Game of Thrones. Look how well that turned out. Alright, picking up in the current point timeline, Leia appears to have taken up the mantle of Jedi Mentor to Rey in the wake of Luke's passing. Note, this will likely coincide with the scene from the D23 First Look, where Rey throws the lightsaber at the training remote and cuts down a tree, which personally I thought was cool. But, yeah. Leia training Rey. Didn't Force Ghost Ben? No, I guess he didn't. P Money says, my recollection is Leia didn't care that much to be a Jedi Knight. Leia didn't train until much later on. She was in politics leading the New Republic after Mon Mothma, says Michael Pernesti. And Captain Hills just says, these spoilers are sad, like fan service and plot hole filling to try and save this epic disaster. Captain Hiltz, that is indeed pretty much what it seems like to me as well. Kevin Ryan says, I gave up watching Anna talk about ugly babies to come over here. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rey is against the environment. Confirmed. Right? She hates those trees. She's not a tree hugger at all. She's a tree hater. Tree hater. Yeah, the plot hole filling. What Jeremy kept pointing out is how much this is going back to Return of the Jedi. And, I mean, by the time I get to the end of this, you're going to be like, that's Return of the Jedi. But, J.J. Abrams, I mean, everybody was complaining. It's so funny. Everyone was complaining because the first one, what the heck was the first one? I can't even remember at this point. The first one was A New Hope, regurgitated. And everyone's like, it's all fan service. It's fan service. We make something different. And the second one was completely different. Everybody hated that. I understand the reasoning, but I just think it's funny. It's like, you wanted fan service. No, you don't want fan service. We'd give you not fan service. You hate that too. And now we're going to go back and we're just going to give you fan service all over again, just to wrap it up in a nice little bow.
You can't please old fans.
You can't please anybody. Actually, you can. You can please people if you just do a solid story. Oh well. Early on in the film, we catch up with Kylo's story, where he is slaughtering people with the purpose of tracking down one of the film's MacGuffins. For those who don't know, a MacGuffin, it was a phrase coined by Alfred Hitchcock, which is the thing in the film that everyone is looking for. The MacGuffin. The MacGuffin.
Sounds like a McMuffin.
That's not a McMuffin. It's a MacGuffin. But if you're looking for a McMuffin, I can tell you where to go. The expanded universe was a wealth of rich stories that could have drawn from. Instead, they thought their crap would be loved simply because it was called Star Wars. Says Michael Pronesti. Yeah, I mean, you gotta admit, not everything in the expanded universe was gold either. I don't want to pick on particular writers, but there's some of the early books. I read them because it was like another Star Wars movie in my head, but it was not great writing. So not everything before The Force Awakens was perfect either. So let's just remember that. Do you guys even remember? I'm old enough. I am 48 years old. I'm old enough to remember the Return of the Jedi hate. I'm old enough, and I was a fan enough of Star Wars to remember the Return of the Jedi hate. There was Return of the Jedi hate. Of course, now it's 30-something years ago. Everyone just thinks, oh, the Ewoks. But people my age, you guys probably remember the ROTJ hate, right? Yes? Am I right or am I right? I am right, right? Oh, yeah, the MacGuffin, a device known as the Wayfinder, which sounds like an app for your phone. I'm told that the clip of Kylo body slamming someone under the floor from the forest behind, bathed in a red light scene in the teaser. I'm also told that this planet is called Exegol. Don't quote me on the spelling.
Sounds like a pill.
What's in the bowl? Oh, Mike, you're making that up. Everyone hated Empire. I hated Empire. Oh, I didn't hate it. I didn't like Empire. When I was a kid, I didn't like Empire. But watching it as an adult, I much more appreciate Empire than I did when I was a kid. I liked Star Wars, and I liked Jedi, and I even liked the Ewoks. All right? I admit it. I liked the Ewoks. But I didn't like Empire. That was depressing. Probably the same reason my kids don't like Rogue One, right? Luke loses his hand. Han Solo's in a carbonite. It was depressing. It was sad. And as an adult, I appreciate that. But as a kid, I was like, this movie's terrible. Oh my god, can we do religion time now, please? No, Fire Dragon, we cannot. We are going to go through these spoilers whether you like it or not. Yub. That's right, Pernesti. Where was I? A nice device, the app known as the Wayfinder. Kylo obtains the Wayfinder from the Oracle from the Matrix and finds it to contain coordinates to a point in the unknown regions. That's probably where Luke was hanging out. The Wayfinder that Kylo is given once belonged to his grandfather, which I think means grandfather. So, Vader had a Wayfinder. I'm just curious where... I guess they'll have an explanation for why this thing shows up. I am certain. These are just bullet points. This is not an in-depth telling of the story. Using the coordinates found within the Wayfinder device, Kylo arrives in the unknown regions. Here, Kylo encounters Emperor Palpatine. So that theory's panning out. And keep in mind, a lot of people have had that theory since The Force Awakens, right? The Palpatine-Rey connection theory. That has been... You're missing what the Wayfinder is. Captain Hiltz, the Wayfinder is a MacGuffin. It's just a thing they put in the plot for people to look for. It gives them a motivation. It's yeah, that's what it is. Withheld says, I don't want to sound like an idiot, but are there any straight white dudes who are remotely interesting, or redeemable? This isn't a joke. I'm actually wondering. In Star Wars?
No.
General Hux? He seems straight. He's the best of both worlds. He's a Nazi and he's a ginger. In modern Star Wars. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Hux. All right. Where were we? Given one belonging to his grandfather, he finds Palpatine. How Palpatine is still alive and how he ended up in the unknown regions is still a mystery to me that I hope to learn more about in the next few months. Note, Daisy Ridley recently said in an interview that it's all explained in the film. It better be. And the connection to Snoke better be part of it. Honestly. I mean, it's the last film. There are a lot of bows that need to be tied on this thing. As you said earlier, there's a lot of plot holes that need to be filled. So maybe that's why it's over 3 hours long. It's over 3 hours long, I think. It's like 3 hours and 15 minutes. Because they got a lot of plot holes to fill. That's why it's a long movie. Because they're going to have to take 30 seconds here, a minute here. And things are going to have to be corrected. Is it an impossible task? Many will say, yes, it is an impossible task. Oh, Victor, I don't care. I'm just going to do this. But my source on this tells me that this is indeed Palpatine in the flesh. Kylo and Palpatine's conversation apparently centers around ordering Kylo to find Rey and bring her to the Emperor with the goal of turning her to the dark side. Return of the Jedi. Take 2. Note, it is not lost on me that this is part of the story that feels very Return of the Jedi inspired, but we'll just crack on and see how this all pans out. My source specifically mentioned that Palpatine is very old and decrepit at this point, possibly on the verge of death. A little bit of Googling reveals that Palpatine is thought to have been born around 84 BBY, before the Battle of Yavin, for those who are uninitiated, making him in the neighborhood of around 113 years old by the events of Rise of Skywalker. I can't remember if his race is long-lived or not. His goal in luring Kylo to him and converting Rey to darkness... No, I guess they wouldn't be. It's the same race as... he's from Naboo, so same race as... He's human. Is more or less to have Rey and Kylo inherit his new empire and for them to rule together. So yes, indeed. The Emperor is shipping them. The Emperor is a Reylo fan. Didn't they do that already in The Last Jedi? Which part? If this is a retelling of The Return of the Jedi, it's going to bomb beyond all measures and imagination. No amount of ticket buying by Disney is going to make the movie a success. Yeah, Palpatine's human. He's wasn't the Empire xenophobic or something? I remember hearing something like that, but I don't recall reading anything particularly in any of the books that I've read that were like that. I mean, what's his name? Palpatine, or Darth Sidious's mentor, wasn't human. He was a Starts with an M, I think. He was a different, a longer-lived race, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of his race. I can't remember his name right now. Someone will say it in the chat. His mentor. I read the book. Sorry. I forget things, so we'll have to move on. Darth Plagueis. Thank you. Plagueis. Plagueis or Plagius? I can't remember. I think it's Plagius. But he was a Maul or a Mauve or a Maul. Does anyone remember his race? Plagius's race? But he wasn't human, so it's not like Palpatine was like completely anti or he wasn't a white nationalist. Anyways, let's move on. Mun, thank you. We got some fans up in here. In order to facilitate bringing about this new empire, Palpatine has spent his 30 years of PTO, private time off. Is that what that means? Creating a fleet of Death Star destroyers. Note, I don't know if this is their actual name or not. Personally, I hope not. It's a bit on the nose. Which appear to be exactly what they sound like. Star Destroyers with Death Star tech. That would explain that big old laser beam mounted on them, giving them the capacity to destroy a planet. Note, apparently once this particular technology was unleashed some 30-odd years ago, that Pandora's box can't be shut again. According to my source, these Star Destroyers make up the Sith fleet that housed the new Red Sith troopers that were showcased at SDCC in July. I'm just trying to think. Okay, so in Rogue One, they were mining kyber crystals on that planet that got destroyed, right? Yeah, kyber crystals are the power source needed for the Star Destroyer or the Death Star laser planet destroying laser technology. So I'm wondering if there's a relation to them mining that planet and this fleet, because they mined a mountain's worth of this stuff. It's got to be. They didn't use it all on that 2 Star Destroyers. Jeddah, thank you. Super Laser, thank you. Super Laser, yeah. Why couldn't they just do the Zahn trilogy? So simple and state our thirst. It's too late, Lee Monger. If they wanted to do the Zahn trilogy, they would have had to have started right after Jedi. They could have used the Zahn trilogy as backstory. I think that would have been a really, really, really good idea. But, I mean, they stole a little bit of it for the Jedi. You know, Luke was training a new Jedi people before, you know. Before Kylo Ren killed them all. But, yeah. Anyways, rule together, Star Destroyers. I wrote this prior to the first look being shown of the fleet has since been confirmed. It's comprised of Imperial Star Destroyers hiding in the unknown regions, and we see what appears to be their planet-destroying capabilities during the real. Someone did point out that the number of Star Destroyers shown and the number of soldiers required to man each Star Destroyer would put, I think, if I remember what they said, would put us in the vicinity of about 4 million Imperial troops rocking those Star Destroyers. I don't think they're going to get into the logistics of feeding and caring for 4 million soldiers in secret for 30 years. But hey, there are bigger plot holes in Star Wars than that. So let's move on. Enough about Rey and Kylo. Let's get back to the rest of the Resistance. Apparently, we catch up with Finn and Poe returning to the jungle planet depicted in some of the behind-the-scenes images shown at Celebration. The duo has been in contact with an informant from within the First Order. The Mole has told Finn and Poe about Kylo coming into possession of the Wayfinder. Note, it's unclear to me if anyone in the Resistance understands what the Wayfinder is or where it leads. They just want to find it. I'm sure that, too, will be cleared up in the plot, in the story. As we all know, J.J. Abrams is a... Wait, is he writing it? Is anyone helping him write it this time? Lawrence Kasdan supposedly helped write the first one. Right? Is someone else? I didn't even check. I should check before I read these things. Captain Hilt says, have you ever read Shadows of the Empire? I'd have loved to see that story on the big screen. I did not read Shadows, Captain Hiltz. That is not one that I picked. JJ is trash. Anyone else? Written by Timothy Zahn. Yeah, Zahn was the good trilogy. The Anderson one... anyways, it's during our hero's time on Pasana that Kylo initiates a Force mind link between himself and Rey. Through their connection, Kylo discovers where Rey and the Resistance crew and leaves to pursue them. Okay, now, I understand people's having issue with the Force mind link and them being able to touch each other. And it is a stretch beyond anything that happened in the previous trilogies, either of the previous trilogies. I kind of try to ignore the whole prequel thing. I try not to even remember those god awful movies. But Luke and Leia, not just Luke and Leia, Luke and... Was it Luke and Leia? Was it just Luke and Leia? Or did Luke also have... He saw these visions of his friends. And then he could reach out and he could connect with Leia over vast space. I mean, he was light years away on Dagobah. Alright? So, yeah, it is. It's not one of the things that I kvetch about. That I complain about. Because... It's a step beyond what we've seen before, but what you don't want to do when you're writing stories is just constantly regurgitate the same things you've seen before. Like this plot. Anyways. Eventually, Kylo and the Knights of Ren arrive and begin to attack our heroes. One thing leads to another, and the Resistance crew gets outnumbered, and they are forced to make their escape on an old ship, leaving the Millennium Falcon behind. Kylo recovers the Falcon and takes it back to his Star Destroyer. Yeah, isn't there's a scene in one of the commercials where we see Kylo Ren walking on the Millennium Falcon, don't we? I think. The Thrawn trilogy. It's Thrawn, comic book Bob. The Thrawn trilogy. Shadows of the Empire was great, but too late for that. Great game too. I played the heck of the N64 Shadows. He could do that with Mara too. That was one of my pet theories of Rey's parentage. But that's all gone. I can name one good thing from the prequels: the Clone Wars. It was all so bad. Me and my girlfriend act out the Thong trilogy. I don't think that's canon. Where am I? Jungle Planet. Resistance understands way. Pilot Leia. This point, Resistance to the desert planet. Okay. Poe and Finn tell Leia about this. Wait. Oh, I skipped the whole thing. It's Poe and Finn. Let me skip it. As previously mentioned, 3PO is confronted with a challenge he is not equipped to handle. Oh my. The artifact found on the Pasana contains a language that 3PO can't translate without modifications. In order to modify 3PO's programming, Poe brings the team to the wintry planet seen in the teaser trailer. Kijimi, per the Vanity Fair article. There, 3PO is modified and allowed to translate the artifact. I'm told that the modification is done by a small alien, possibly the one pictured. Once translatable, the dagger supposedly reveals... Oh, the Force dagger. I think that's what I skipped with the... Poe and Finn find a Force dagger. Reveals information regarding a second wayfarer. This is... What do they call these? Wild goose chases? No, what do they call the hunts when you have to like go and find scavenger hunt? This movie's a scavenger hunt. This one having belonged to Emperor Palpatine himself, leading the team to journey to the forest moon of Endor. Note, my sources tell me that this scene from the first look reel showing 3PO with red eyes connects to this event. The red eyes are part of the hack that allows him to translate the Sith language. This all reminds me of Darth Bane. Mike, are you trying out for the BBC? Good evening and welcome to the BBC. Today we will be discussing Star Wars. The sequel trilogy is nothing but copied scenes from the originals and one MacGuffin after another. Does Poe and Finn kiss in this one? Spoilers. Sith language. During the events leading to the modification of 3PO in the Wintry Planet, Kylo initiates another Force connection between he and Rey. Kylo supposedly uses this as an opportunity to begin forcing Rey down the path of darkness. He does this by antagonizing Rey. Kylo tells her that he knows about the dagger and what it was once used for. Kylo apparently tells her that this dagger was used to murder Rey's parents. Kylo maintains, okay, this is a Sith dagger used to murder Rey's parents. Kylo maintains that her parents are nobodies in the grand story. Because how could they be? They died. They were junk traders. Remember? That's what he says. Nobody junk traders. I'm going to maintain the Kira as Rey's mother theory still holds water. Because you could still have this connection between the Sith, i.e. Darth Maul, connected to Kira, also connected to the Emperor. And now, who's going to kill these parents with a Sith dagger? I don't know. I think the Kira thing... And Kira's a junk trader, right? Junk traders with a Sith artifact. Yeah, that doesn't add up. That's what I'm saying. But it does add up if you've got the Darth Maul Kira connection. And then the Kira connection also... Why did Rey think of Han Solo when she heard about Han Solo? She didn't say, are you the big galactic general that helped save the universe from the... No, she said, the famous struggler? The famous smuggler? I was just struggling with the plot. Who's Kira from Solo? It was Han Solo's girlfriend back in the day, and then at the end of the movie of Solo, if you haven't seen it, she ends up working directly with Darth Maul. Is Maul still alive? Now, no, but I'm not sure what the timeline is. He could have been alive long enough for this situation to have taken place. Possible? Don't know. I'm going to stick with that theory, though, because why would they have been killed with a Sith blade? Haven't seen Solo. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Kira is Daenerys Targaryen. Kylo maintains that her parents are nobodies in the grand story. This angers Rey, and she lashes out at Kylo with lightsaber duel ensues. Keep in mind, This lightsaber duel is taking place over a Force cell phone call.
Hitting someone on Skype.
Rey is on Kijimi and Kylo is on his Star Destroyer. According to my sources, no flashes of any additional locations are seen during this fight. Possibly in the film at all, but we'll see. Ren keeps the Link alive long enough to learn Rey's location. Wow, he was really tapping her call. And eventually peruses her in his... Those are two totally different words. He wrote peruses her in his Star Destroyer like before. But I'm pretty sure he means pursues. George Peter Gatsa says, is this leak legit? I'm pretty sure it is, George. I'm pretty sure it is. This was leaked earlier, or the guy that leaked this had some of these leaks earlier, and the stuff that he had leaked was confirmed by the stuff in the commercials, in the new commercials. So I don't know if it's going to be 100% legit, but it's pretty... I'm pretty sure this is it. Wah. Please let me know. Zori Bliss is introduced sometime during this time on this planet. That is a terrible time. How far are we into this story? Oh. That's like halfway through this plot, and you're just introducing a character. That's not good writing. What am I saying? Naturally they fight. All right, where was I? Zori Bliss. The commercials didn't show anything though, just battles and studious laughing. No. Things like, the red-eyed C-3PO and the fight or the training in the forest and stuff. It does. Is the stuff about Rey being Palpatine's granddaughter in these leaks? Indeed, it is, Turtle Rabbit. We will get there shortly. I'm going to skip Zori Bliss because I don't care. Once Kylo arrives, our gang of heroes decides to sneak aboard and attempt to recover the Falcon prior to leaving. The rescue plan goes awry, and the whole group gets captured by the First Order. It's at this point that the two major things happen. It's revealed that Hux is the First Order mole that has been feeding the Resistance information, and he allows the heroes to escape while Kylo is distracted by dueling with Rey in person. During this duel, Kylo adds another wrinkle to Rey's backstory. He maintains that while her parents are nobodies, her grandparents, more specifically, her grandfather, wasn't. Kylo tells Rey that she is the granddaughter of Palpatine. Of course, he wrote Palpatine, but, typos. This explains his interest in bringing the random nobody from Jakku into the fold. The crew recovers the Falcon, Rey reconnects with them, and they bugger off. Following her battle aboard the Star Destroyer and escape on the Falcon, Rey uses the newly gleaned information resulting from 3PO's modifications and the translation of the Dagger to travel to Endor. At this time, it's a little unclear to me how Kylo gets from point A to point B, but supposedly he is waiting for Rey in Palpatine's throne room aboard the wreckage of the Death Star. Well, then how can her parents be nobodies? That doesn't make sense. Well, if I play the son of Palpatine would have to be a somebody. Although in the grand scheme of things, if he's killed and all he managed to do was create or impregnate someone to create Rey. And Dennis says, this is the worst fan fiction I've heard. It's It is a wee little bit discombobulated. Brandon Moore says, J.J. Abrams, the king of plot holes. Well, he may just be using plot holes to cover previous plot holes. I don't know why this is at all.
Also make a...
Victor says, you see, Mike, they're using the best characters to save the franchise, tying these losers to them. Idiots. You just wait, Victor. We haven't gotten to that part yet. Let's see. Note, I assume that Kylo knows the location of the second Wayfinder due to his newfound connection to Palpatine. It's just speculation, but that's just speculation on my part. I think it's important to note that Kylo may have been there before. True, considering that he had the charred helmet of Vader in The Force Awakens. Absolutely. Correct. Yes, he had to have been. Naturally, they fight. The specifics of this duel are unknown to me, but what I have been told about it is that it's at this point when Rey begins to tap into some hatred to gain the upper hand and eventually defeats Kylo, note possibly destroying his lightsaber in the process. But that's more rumor than leak at the moment. Leaving him for dead on the wreckage of the Death Star, Rey takes possession of Palpatine's Wayfinder and leaves. So in The Force Awakens, she taps into the light side of the Force, defeats Kylo. She's been training. I don't think he's been training. And so now, in order to beat him, she taps into the dark side of the Force. My sources tell me that the Dark Rey moment seen in D23 footage is in fact a vision described to me as thematically similar to Luke seeing himself as Vader in the cave on Dagobah. They already did that scene. I hate this. I hate this. This apparently is a short sequence that happens right after Rey picks up Palpatine's Wayfinder. While lying in the wreckage of the Death Star, weakened state Kylo Ren reportedly sees a vision of his father. Note, it's unclear to me if Han appears as a bona fide ghost or just through the magic of injury-induced hallucinations, but this interaction supposedly acts as Kylo's come-to-Jesus moment. Han tells Kylo that it's never too late to change, and when he leaves Endor, he leaves not as Kylo Ren, but as Ben Solo. The only way that this makes sense is if it's a memory. Right? The only way this makes sense is if it's young Kylo having just screwed something up or something, and a young Han Solo. Oh, that'd be great to see like young Han Solo, old school Han. You know, kneel down, pick him up, dust him off, and say, "It's never too late to change." Whatever. I would accept that. I would buy that memory of his childhood. But if they try to do some sort of weird Force Ghost thing, you can't. Han Solo can't be a Force Ghost. First of all, it doesn't say Force Ghost in here. It just says a ghost. But he leaves not as Kylo Ren, but as Ben Swallow. 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 Where was I? Leaves Palpatine's Wayfinder. This duel is a critical tipping point for Rey as well. I'm told that in the wake of her confrontation with Kylo, she takes the Wayfinder and flees to Ahch-To to collect her thoughts. I didn't know she left her thoughts on Ahch-To. Her mindset is reportedly mirror Luke's. Her mindset is reportedly mirror Luke's while he was there prior to and during the events of Last Jedi. The vision of a possible dark future for herself in conjunction fact that she nearly killed Kylo scared Rey in the same way that considering killing Ben in his sleep scared Luke many years prior. She feared the path she was headed down and decides to swear off the Jedi, exiling herself on Ahch-To. Rey scuttles the ship she used there to get there, just like Luke once did, and she caps it all off by casting Anakin's reconstructed lightsaber toward her ship. Just when it looks like the Jedi Order is going to end again, the specter of Luke Skywalker appears to Rey, holding her discarded lightsaber, and does what all good Force ghosts do. Gives our hero the resolve to do what needs to be done. My question, is this going to be young Luke Skywalker? Because, when they redid Jedi, at the end of Jedi, it was young Anakin. And I'd kind of like to see this be young Luke Skywalker. Mike, can you go to Mainland Stream? They're doing art critique and need your expertise. Well, let me wrap this up. Rey finished. Gives our hero the hope, the resolve to do what needs to be done. Finish the work Luke began over 30 years earlier and put an end to the Emperor for good. That's not really a Jedi thing, though, is it? That's not really... You must finish him. That's not really the kind of thing a Jedi would say. But anyways, according to my source, Luke passes on Leia's lightsaber. Leia's lightsaber? Leia's lightsaber? Hold on, let me pull that out of my butt. Oh, look. I had Leia's lightsaber here the whole time. To Rey. Note, I don't know where it came from, where it's been all this time, or how Luke is able to give it to Rey. But what I can tell you with only about 50% confidence at this point is that Leia's blade is supposedly blue. Bolstered by her conversation with Luke, Rey takes Leia's lightsaber, transmits the location of the Sith fleet to the Resistance before heading out herself. On the subject of Force ghosts, Luke makes another appearance around the time of Rey and Kylo's crisis of faith. Wait, I thought it was Ben. Now. Back at the main Resistance base, Leia is on her deathbed. My source describes it to me like Yoda's death in Return of the Jedi. Nothing bad happened. It was just her time to go. Luke has some time to say goodbye. What? Luke's dead. Why is he saying goodbye? Shouldn't he just be like, come on over? But before it all ends for Leia, he has one final lesson for her. Oh, how to become a Force Ghost. Before you die, if you want to be a Force Ghost like me. From what I've been able to put together, the final act of the film is structured like this. P-Money. Did Leia's lightsaber hurt up there? It itched. Rey leaves Ahch-To, and travels to the Sith fleet in the unknown regions. Eventually, the Resistance fleet arrives and battle ensues. Somehow, Rey finds her way to the Emperor, who's been waiting for her. That's terrible. My voice is getting dry. I can't do that. Palpatine laughs. Palpatine confirms that what Kylo told her was true. It's true. Apparently, after his defeat at Death Star 2, Palpatine was shaken. That these guys, read Darth Plagueis. Palpatine doesn't get... anyways. Palpatine was shaken by the fact that he wasn't able to maintain his hold on Vader or seduce Luke to the darkness due to their familial bond. Palpatine was triggered. Oh, it's so hard for me because I want to like this. I want to like this movie. But this is a lot of stupid. There's a lot of stupid in one story. Hopefully they'll somehow clean all this up. I want to like it. I want to like it. Maybe I should just go in with really, really, really low expectations. I've done that before and come out saying, hey, that was a pretty good movie. During the course of their conversation, Palpatine makes reference to this bond between Vader and Luke and likens it to his bond with Rey. His bond with Rey. The bond between Luke and Vader was that Vader loved Luke underneath all of it. It was love that conquered the fear and the hate that drove Darth Vader to the dark side. That was the bond. It's not just we've got the same bloodline. You are connected to me forever. During the course of the conversation, Palpatine makes reference to his bond between Vader and Luke and likens it to the bond with Rey, hoping that whatever familial connection they have will be enough to win her over to become as strong as that of the Skywalkers. Note, what my source described next feels very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi. Duh. Rey is trapped in the Emperor's throne room, watching two opposing fleets battle while she helplessly gazes onward. It's at this point, except for the throne room is on the ground. They didn't build another Death Star, and so you can't watch a space battle from the ground. But apparently Ben and Rey joined forces and began attacking Palpatine. Leia's lightsaber comes back into play when Rey and Kylo share the Skywalker lightsabers throughout their fight. This must be the rise of Skywalker. The lightsabers. At some point, the Emperor overpowers them both and supposedly kills Ben. Note, there have been reports from the other reputable leakers that Kylo sort of dies, but my source on this seems pretty unambiguous. Personally, I think we'll just have to wait and see what we learn over the next few months. When it looks like all hope is lost, the ghosts of Luke and Leia show up, Deus Ex Machina style, to aid Rey. Together, they overpower the Emperor and his darkness once and for all. As for what the other members of the Resistance are doing at this point, didn't they destroy the entire Resistance fleet in the last movie? Weren't there like 12 people got out alive? They are engaged in a space battle against Palpatine's fleet. Didn't they destroy all the Resistance ships in the last movie? And weren't there only about a dozen people that got out? Deja vu. Isn't the Emperor's fleet about 200 Super Star Destroyers? With Death Star lasers on them? I'm not that good with math, but I don't really see how that adds up. Anyways, Palpatine's fleet, led by General Pride, the Resistance's goal is supposedly to take out the flagship, severing communications and making navigation out of the unknown regions impossible. The flagship destroyed around the same time that the Emperor dies. So they've got 200 spaceships that are designed to travel at light speed, and only one of them has a map. This is getting harder and harder for me to like. I wanted to like this. It's making me sad. The last thing I was told is regarding the final sequence of the film. I don't know why, but our heroes, of course, travel to Tatooine. During these scenes, it is supposedly revealed that Rey has cannibalized, I really don't like that term, Anakin, Luke's lightsaber, and Leia's to make one of her own that supposedly has a yellow/gold blade. She buries the leftover pieces in the ground in the former Lars homestead. Because I'm sure that since Luke's Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen were killed on their moisture farm on Tatooine, no one bothered to take over in the 4 decades since he left home. The final shots of the Skywalker saga allegedly echo how the adventures began in 1977. Our heroes gazing at the horizon, dreaming of the future as twin suns set in the distance. I gotta admit, that part I like. The idea of mirroring the beginning of A New Hope and the end of this trilogy, that part I like. I could probably do it without a lot of the rest of this. Why? I don't know. I don't have an answer. I have no answers for you guys. Victor says the only thing that can save this is if Rey does turn evil permanently. Her and Kylo take over the galaxy and start over and have a new hero stop her. You know what? You know what they really, really need to do? They need to flip the script on the Emperor. Right? They need to make the Emperor seem like, you know, he's the Emperor, but he's old and he is decrepit and he has had many decades to think exactly what went wrong. And how did he lose after raising young Anakin up to be his apprentice? And just try to get him to create a narrative whereby he could actually sucker Rey into understanding that the Jedi Order was you know, he's the one. If it's Palpatine who's like, it's not the dark side or the light side, the Force permeates everything in the universe and it has no sides, it is just the Force, and the Jedi and the Sith have been fighting this senseless battle forever, and all I ever wanted was for Anakin to bring balance to the Force, but he failed. Perhaps you could lift up that. And that's how you tease her out of the light side and you get her delving into the dark side. She becomes a gray Jedi, and then you can drag her into the dark side with you. Something like that, right? Victor says the Emperor is a genius. He took over the Senate and Anakin with just his mind. So, tell you what, man, that would be good motivation. I mean, I'm all for like bad guys being bad guys, but you can't have bad guys just like, hello, I'm the big evil bad guy with all the bad motivations, and I will do all the evil things because I'm evil. It's not how people think. And if he wants to drag her into the dark side, he's got to drag her through the gray side first. Right? Unrelated Coma says, Gray Jedi should be the only cool old guys that are cantankerous veterans like Qui-Gon Jinn and Jolie Bindo. Matthew Lemon says, no, Jar Jar was given responsibility. That's why he's able to take over the universe. Gag about it. Sorry. Pernesi said, this ending is horrible and insulting. Rey has nothing to do with anything. Gosh, you know what I should do? I should take this story and I should like legit edit it into a fan fiction that would be acceptable. That would be fun. That would be fun. Why can't we have nice things? Because Disney bought everything. Except, here's my problem. We haven't had a good Star Wars movie since Jedi. We've had good Star Wars stuff. The Clone Wars animated series was amazing. We've had good Star Wars games. But we have not had a good Star Wars movie. A really good Star Wars movie firing on all cylinders since Jedi. And some might say since Empire. And you know, as fans, we're willing to take something a little less than perfect, right? I read the Kevin J. Anderson books, and I knew they were not perfect. But I read them, every single one of them, because you're a fan, right? And you'll take something that's a little less than perfect. But there's a difference between something a little less than perfect and just shoving a whole lot of stupid into one meat pie. Anyways, I don't know where else to go with that. I thank you all for being here. I'm sorry I don't have better news for you on the on this whole thing. It's I don't know. It is what it is. Yeah, the Timothy Zahn books were great. Anything else I should read before we bow out here? Palpatine is the best Force user ever. Dennis Bruce said, I like Thrawn more than... Oh, Ray Thulu said, I like Thrawn more than Vader. Okay. Alright, that's it. I'm going to bounce, guys. Thanks, everyone, again. And I'll see you guys on Monday. May what's left of the Force be with you. This has been This Week in Random.